hear me?
You bet.
I got on early because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to get on.
Oh, why?
Well, once in a while it doesn't work very well.
Ah,
I'm secretary to the Freeport Women's Club, and last month I couldn't connect, and they were on the phone telling me what to do, and nothing worked.
I know. It's hard to know sometimes. Guy, did you see the sign?
No.
Oh, at the top.
Blue sign at the
Just the photos. I haven't gone up to see it yet.
They said it looked really good.
Yeah, the pictures. Did Matt take those pictures? They look good.
Thomas did.
Oh, Thomas did. Okay.
You need a young person, right?
Yeah, that's true. Technology.
Yeah, right.
No, but the sign looks, I mean, it's really nice. And I emailed Tom Ross. He's the one who did the original couple of signs, the first one that got stolen and the second one that got stolen. But he worked, gosh, for years, like finding the perfect photo to put up there and getting things labeled. So I let him know, it's like, I think we've come up with a permanent solution, Tom, inspired by your original work. So I hope it turned out well, but I think it did based on those photos.
Yeah, they said it looked really good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine someone hauling that off, but
I mean, they'd have to like saw the legs off, right? I mean, that's
yeah. I mean, it's pretty heavy. They said.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. I mean, that's
there for a while.
That's right. My last, lasting legacy for the Conservation Commission.
Right. I think you guys should put it on social media, though.
Yeah, I think Ryan is planning on doing something like that, or reaching out to the forecaster if they need like a feel-good community story.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
we all need to feel good now.
That's right.
I'll tell you.
Be nice.
No, something, huh? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I felt that. I put my Zoom on.
Can you hear the background noise?
No.
Okay. I just never know, because I only have a door that shuts on one side, so the other door is sort of open to the dining and the kitchen area. So if Mike's roaming around, I have to tell him to stop.
I know that, and the dogs, right?
Yeah, well, the dogs are usually pretty quiet, but I don't know, they might pop in.
Mine aren't.
You see this? We've already put in the candles in the windows.
Oh, us too. Maria's been decorating.
I mean, it's never too soon. There's no rules in 2020.
Exactly. And it gets so dark with the time change and everything. It's just like, we need all the light we can get.
Yeah.
And the cheer, right?
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. She's gone all out this year.
I mean, I feel like we've all had plenty of time to do that, right?
Right. Yeah. It's
A lot of home time. Yeah.
I'm still raking leaves. Those oak trees, they take forever.
Yeah. Oak trees.
The oaks. Yeah. I mean, I think with the lack of brown tail moth exposure we had this year, suddenly we have twice as many leaves as we're used to.
I thought that too.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. Gosh, our neighborhood was just swamped with brown tails a couple years ago.
We were too, down on Litchfield Road.
Yeah.
You couldn't walk, they'd fall on you.
Ugh.
It was gross.
Yeah, gosh, they're terrible.
Hi, Adam.
Hi, Adam. How are we doing with
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah. I don't know. So I feel like, you're going, sorry.
Guy, is anybody excused tonight?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Ward just emailed that he didn't get the invite. I don't think those links are unique. We can just forward it, can't we?
Yeah, I just responded to him. I didn't get one either. I just used the login info on the agenda.
And I just dropped Caroline a note too saying, hey, where's mine? And then I just did the agenda as well, thinking. all right.
Okay. Because mine came pretty late today. So
Hi guys.
if that's the case, you might need to reach out to Gordon.
Yeah, would his wife be Judy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hello, Adam.
Hey, David, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Is that the new office?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Very nice compared to my old office.
You
Actually,
missed the walk up though?
I don't miss to walk up. I like having heat in the winter and cooling in the summer. It's actually quite novel.
Yeah, that's a good feature.
Yeah.
Yes, Gordon.
Hi,
Hi.
Already. Oh, and there's Ford.
got in. Luckily, my wife got me in. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Sure, not a problem.
I think the gang's all here.
That's
Oh no, Suzanne. Is Suzanne joining us?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Let me just check and see if she's on
Okay.
in the attendee list. You know, I have not heard from her lately. let me just give her a call because we do have some recusals tonight. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Unless nobody, can anyone see her on another screen?
No.
No, I don't see.
No,
Okay.
Adam, you're on twice for some reason.
Yeah, it must be somehow a unique link because I just forwarded mine to Ford.
Oh, so he's in disguise tonight.
Right.
Uh,
I don't think Ford's a Zoom bomber, though. I think we're safe.
I don't even know what a Zoom bomber is.
Did you guys not get your Zoom links today?
No.
No.
Yeah. Remember the part about me?
yes, I did.
I got mine late when I emailed you.
Yeah, mine came about 2 o'clock, so not that late.
Yeah, okay, that's when I did it. I wonder why they didn't go through. I don't think Suzanne's went through either.
In defense of you, Caroline, you did ask me to call you if I didn't get one.
I know, and I didn't hear from you, so I assumed you got one.
I have a short attention span. I'm very sorry.
That's okay, so do I, so I won't blame it on you. Okay, so I just sent that to Suzanne again. So for any reason, if in the future, if you don't get the link, let me know if you notice in time, but if not, you can join via the link on the agenda. We will just have to change your settings when you join. So although not the preferred method, you definitely can join via that. So, okay, do you want to start in hopes that she joins us here in a few minutes?
Sure. Let's get started. Okay, this is the Project Review Board meeting for November 18th, 2020. And we will start with the information exchange.
Sure. So the planning board did have a meeting last week. There was a large item there that was in the early discussion phases for a large housing project out on Desert Old County Road. They had significant public participation. At one point, we had over 150 people on the Zoom meeting. So that was a early discussion. They also had tonight's applicant here, the Desert of Maine. They were coming forward for a zoning ordinance amendment. So they did make a recommendation on a new overlay district to the council. And that's what the planning board has been up to this month.
Okay. Did you have any updates about the forecaster?
The
Public notices?
so public notices, you guys talked about that, and that went to the planning board for discussion pre-COVID. They had some language drafted up that they were going to do when they got to solar, but obviously things got shuffled. So they were going to move forward with reviewing the language for subdivision and site plan for cases where you have to have a legal public hearing that we require additional notices, but they have not had public hearing on that. That's still in their pending file. with some other zoning things, but they did talk about it and they thought it was a good idea to move forward to public hearing.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
In the, and I think the question to the planning board is whether that suffices as the exclusive public notice. And my question is, in the meantime, can we just do that as a secondary public notice and still do the Times record?
Say it again.
There's no harm in us doing public notice in the forecaster and the Times record until they resolve it more officially. Is that correct?
I think the problem is that we don't have it set up to have money to cover it. We don't have it in the budget, and we can't charge the applicant because our public hearing fee is set up to cover it much lower. So I think unless we get, directive from the council, I don't know that we can really go into that. For example, I'll use Doug and Mila they had to have a map for their type. Theirs was a little bit different because it was a zoning amendment, but to run a legal ad with a small map and text, it was about $800 for 2 days. If it's just a strict subdivision, a little blurb just to run it in the Times record is about $150. So would kind of be looking at doubling that cost. So I think the goal was that when we bring it to the council, that part of that discussion for the council to consider is whether or not it's something that we're going to budget and put in our budget for the next year and pass on to the taxpayers, or if we're going to pass it on to applicants. I've done some comparison and it does look like our public hearing fees are somewhat higher. But again, I feel like that kind of needs to be a council discussion at this point.
Thank you.
Yep.
And it did come up from the public at the planning board about the housing development too, that, hey, nobody looks in this paper, why is it there? So it definitely seems like there's a fairly good bit of support for.
Yeah, again, for certain things, we might be able, like for some feel-good things, we might be able to use, just the forecaster. But the problem with the forecaster is legally they can't be mailed. So for some things that have state guidelines, we can't use them, or they not solely use them, if that makes sense. But yeah, that discussion is planning board and then council level. So at some point they'll have that. I think they could take a little bit, now that we've had some other issues come up, PRB and talked about things that pertain to them, but the planning board didn't talk about, additional public notification during the zoning amendment process. So that might be something that they want to look at a little further and send a complete package to the council.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, the next item on the agenda is review of the minutes from the October meeting. Are there any comments about that?
I've got one correction and one potential correction. The correction is on page 22 to 23. The vote on that one, I was a nay, so it says it was unanimous, but that should be 6 ayes and 1 nay from me. And then the potential correction is on page 16 for the Historical Society. Just the way it's written there, we have the conditions of approval, and then number 4 says the applicant is aware that they will need to return to the board with a revised landscaping plan by March 2021. This has been added as a suggested condition of approval prior to a certificate of occupancy being issued for the carriage house and or vault. And I'm just wondering for the record if it should read more like the other ones, that prior to certificate of occupancy, or if we just strike suggested from there. But maybe that's exactly what was said. So I'm not sure, Caroline, if we need to make that just for the official legal record, a stronger statement.
I think, in cases where we question the wording, I always think it's good just to maybe put off the minutes and have Sharon go back and check the tape.
Okay.
Just to make sure that if it's written as it was said, then I feel like it's a little bit tougher. But I would say let's have her go back and check the tape, because it's hard to do that on the fly and recall what happened a month ago. Sharon, are you clear the reference that Adam's talking about?
Yes, I am. I'll check the tape.
Okay. So I'd say with that, you can note any other changes, but maybe you should put off accepting the minutes until she has a chance to do that.
Okay, those are the only comments I have.
Do we need to make a motion to table the minutes then?
Yeah.
Would
So
anybody
moved.
like to do that? Was that Ford?
I think
Yes, so moved. Yes.
And Todd
Seconded.
seconds it.
Seconded by Adam.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll do a roll call vote and kind of going with Adam's theme there about hearing the yays and the nays. Can we use yes and no? I just think it's a little bit easier to hear, particularly on Zoom. All right, Blanchard, yes. Campanelli,
Yes.
Hamlin,
Yes.
Reiki,
Yes.
Troidel,
yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Yankee.
Yes.
All right, it was unanimous. Tabled.
That is a lot easier.
Okay, the next item on the agenda are the reviews. The first item is the Desert of Maine parking lot renovations. If we have any recusals for any items tonight, please say so and provide a reason for your recusal.
Yes, this is Geraldine. I am recusing myself from this project review. My son worked for Doug and Mila at the desert for the last 2 summers, so I think it's most appropriate that I recuse myself. I will put myself on mute.
Yes, be sure to mute yourselves and turn your screen or your camera off if you are recusing. Caroline, would you like to give a summary for us?
Sure. So I just want to add that don't go away, Geraldine, because we do want you to rejoin us for the next item, and the same to anyone else that needs to recuse. So I'm sorry, one thing I also forgot to mention is that the Moore Street School item is tabled for tonight, and I'll address it when we get to it, but just in case anyone in the audience is here watching, that item was tabled. So the Desert of Maine is the application before you. They are here for some site changes. They wanted to make some parking lot improvements due to the fact that they were adding some new landscaping beds, kind of expanding or kind of realigning the current parking area and adding a new pretty extensive brick walkway. They triggered threshold of review before the PRB. There's no change to the use. Really what they're trying to do here is repair the existing gravel/dirt parking lot by doing some patching, giving a more defined look to the parking areas through the use of landscapes, islands, and beds, adding some timber posts to designate these areas. In areas where they actually have excess gravel after the parking is squared off, they will be removing that and loam and seeding. They do have areas of landscaping. Some are just shown as planting areas, and then they did note the types of trees that they will be using. They are proposing some full cutoff lighting. They're low fixtures. They'll be about 3 feet in height. And one of the important components of this project is they are adding 4 ADA parking spaces, which will be connected to the visitor center via a new brick walkway, and those spaces will be signed accordingly. So I think that gives you a snapshot. Tom Emery from Harriman is here. I think has some drawings to share with you, and the applicant is here as well.
Okay, would the applicant like to add anything?
No, I think Caroline captured it really well. Sorry, I was really searching for the mute button. And just thanks for the opportunity. I think we have a lot of projects planned. So I get used to seeing my face here on these meetings. We're really excited about a lot of the planned renovations at the desert. So no, Caroline captured it perfectly.
Okay. Does your representative want to add anything else, Tom?
If you don't need to see the drawings, does everybody have a set of plans in front of them?
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, I have to go on the network and download, share the screen and all that. So if that's not necessary, I don't have a penchant to do it at this point. I think Caroline gave a good overview, but if you do need to see the drawing on the screen, I'd be happy to go hunt for them.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from the board?
I don't have any questions on the project. I guess Caroline, just looking ahead to make sure, I would assume if the overlay district gets approved that this doesn't cause any conflicts with the new overlay district versus the zoning they have now.
That's a great question. I did actually look at that, because if their language potentially goes forward, they do have some buffering, but actually the landscape beds that they're adding along the front would be within that buffer area where they don't have any landscaping now. So I don't see a problem being created there. You also, just to know, you did have that memo in your packet from Public Works. They do just want to coordinate with the applicant regarding snow plowing operations at that little section of Desert Road there.
Yeah, I'll be reaching out to them.
Great.
Yeah. I also, but I don't know. I owe the fee. By the way, I forgot to pay that, so that'll be coming in tomorrow. So.
The downside of COVID.
Yeah. I'm good for it.
Any other comments or questions? Do we have a motion? And please remember to read the motion in full.
All right, I'll propose a motion. Be it ordered that the Freeport Project Review Board approve the printed findings of fact and a site plan amendment for Heastan Family Holding LLC for parking lot and associated site alterations at the Desert of Maine, Tax Assessor Map 22, Lot 8, to be built substantially as proposed, plans dated 10/28/2020, revised through 11/12/2020, finding that it meets the standards of the Freeport zoning ordinance with the following conditions of approval. 1, this approval incorporates by reference all supporting plans that amend the previously approved plans submitted by the applicant and his/her representatives at Project Review Board meetings and hearings on the subject application to the extent that they are not in conflict with other stated conditions. 2, prior to any site work, including but not limited to clearing of the site, and prior to the issuance of any building permits, the applicant do the following. A, establish a performance guarantee in the amount to cover the cost of all site work associated with the project. In the to be reviewed, let's go with associated with the project, to be reviewed and approved by the town engineer and in a form acceptable to the town attorney. The performance guarantee shall cover the cost of all site work, including but not limited to erosion control, drainage, landscaping and walkways, parking areas, etc., along with the performance guarantee. A non-refundable administrative fee at the rate established by the Freeport Town Council be paid. B, establish an inspection account in the amount of $1,000 to cover the cost for inspection of the site improvements by the town engineer. C, the developer have a pre-construction meeting with the town engineer.
Thank you, Adam. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Blanchard, yes. Campanelli, recused. Hamlin,
Yes.
Reiki,
Yes.
Troidel,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Yankee.
Yes.
All right, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Caroline.
Welcome back, Geraldine. Okay, the next item on our agenda is Linda Bean's Main Kitchen and Topside Tavern addition and site plan amendment. Caroline, would you like to provide a summary?
Sure. So I feel like they were just here before us a couple years ago to get an addition and rehab that building. But looking back, it looks like it was about 10 years ago. So I don't know if any of you were on the board then, or if this is new to everyone. So at Linda Bean's Main Kitchen, Topside Tavern, there's always been this little ATM structure. It has an ATM inside. It's been TD Camden National. It's kind of tucked between the existing restaurant and Polo Ralph Lauren. They are proposing to take that structure down, which is Class C, and build a new structure in its place. It would be we'll call it 2-story structure with basement. It would have basement level. It would have the first level, which would be kind of a continuation of the brick facade that you see today near the outdoor seating area. And then upstairs, they're proposing an outdoor seating area, which would extend the current railing system, have a glass canopy and fireplace. And there would be some backup house area, but the front facade of that second story would be set back about 20 feet from Main Street. They are proposing masonry construction and building this right up to the property line. So you wouldn't see much, if any, of that side facade because it would be right against that Polo Ralph Lauren property line. The little bit that will stick out will be covered in brick. The rear facade of the building would be covered in clapboards. They're proposing hardy board, but otherwise all the materials would match the existing. 2 things to note is we did get the letters from the utilities. So if you get to the point of making a motion, that could be struck. You also have David Matero here, and he did send yesterday, which I just saw today and sent you. He had some revisions to the elevation drawing, I believe, for the rear. So if you want to see those, David, you should have sharing capabilities for your screen.
Okay.
Adam Bliss, our engineer, did review it. They're ever so slightly, I think it's 18 square feet, increasing the pervious area on the site, but every little bit counts. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I have a question about the storage of the propane tanks that are in the existing drawings or existing photos. Where are you going to be storing those?
Okay, so thank you. My name's David Matero. I'm going to share my screen. Let's do screen 2. All right. Can you see my computer screen now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, with the the basement, the new basement of this building has a lot more storage than we used to have. So this is the current basement of the building. We're picking up all of this, and we're picking up some outdoor storage. So we're hoping to incorporate more of that storage that's behind the building inside. As well as behind there's also an external grease trap system, and that's going to go underground as well. So we are making improvements to the rear of the building. I don't know I don't know if you want me to present sort of quickly the project or just answer questions as they come up. So it's up to you. We do have a rendering that we provided. The existing 10-year ago project was this new balcony, and the brick was existing. These windows were existing. So what we're doing is matching a lot of that, continuing the balcony, continuing the exterior seating, adding an ice cream window at grade here, continuing the brick pier in the lighting system, and the Doug fir ceiling. As Carolyn mentioned, the second floor is about 20 feet back to get outdoor seating, and we're covering the outdoor seating with a glass roof. I think everyone obviously knows why we're trying to increase outdoor seating these days. So, and then as well as incorporating a kind of a gas fireplace on the deck. What I sent to you today also has improvements on the rear of the building, and what we had originally proposed were exterior staircases. There's a lot of maintenance issues with exterior staircases, you can imagine, especially during the winter. So we've increased the size of the addition in the back right up to the easement. So you would go through these doors to go up to the first floor, and you go through that door to go down to the basement. So that's the major change on the rear of the building, is incorporating the exterior staircases to the interior. This is a door that goes into that storage room. So that was the big change from what we had made earlier. We basically incorporated all of the exterior work into the interior now. And that's on the rear of the building. You can see it, you know, it is kind of a public way. There's a retail store right here, and you can exit the you know, the parking garage from the alley back here. So, you know, we're trying to kind of fix it up a little, but we're still pretty tight. We're trying to do a lot with a little here.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Just on that back side, so the roof line of I guess it's the first story, then overhangs 5 or 6 feet, so it covers those doors essentially, but up higher. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So in lieu of yeah, so this dash line is a roof line, and that is right at this level here. It's kind of hard to see, but you know, there's a major a protrusion here. You know, these are brick piers that come out, and then this is recessed in, and we're hitting that line to incorporate our roof line of our new addition. I don't know if I have a photo of the rear. You can kind of see it here. That's what I'm talking about. There's the brick pier, and then this is that line. So this is where the roof line would come out in the new addition, right at that line.
Just following up with Geraldine's question. So what happens to the propane tanks and also the dumpster that's in that picture you just showed us? And does this impact how deliveries are made to that building?
The deliveries will remain the same. The dumpster is right here. Currently, it's going to stay there. The increased pickup during the summer months, obviously when they're busy, by having and so we're hoping to move the propane tanks inside, either in this storage room that's technically kind of an exterior storage room, or inside the basement. The building's fully sprinklered. It's gonna be we'll have rated walls in there. So we're hoping to move a lot of that exterior stuff inside. The dumpster, it's sort of the necessary evil of a restaurant. I don't see what we can do with that dumpster. I know the owners would love to enclose it in a fence, but I just don't see how that's going to be possible to, you know, to have truck access for, you know, for the dumpster. And so what it currently does, I mean, they back up and they pick it up and dump it and put it back in its place. So in behind, those things we're hoping to move inside. The propane behind this fence is a exterior grease trap, and we're hoping to move that underground. So we are hoping to clear it, you know, to clean this up as much as we can.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Does anybody want to make a motion?
Well, I just lost my staff report out of Dropbox, so until I find it, I can't make it.
I'll make a motion. Proposed motion is as follows. Be it ordered that the Freeport Project Review Board approve the printed findings of fact and design review certificate and site plan amendment for David Matero for an addition to associated site improvements at Linda Bean's Main Kitchen and Topside Tavern at 88 Main Street, Tax Assessor Map 11, Lot 107, to be built substantially as proposed, application date October 26, 2020, finding that it meets the standards of the Freeport Design Review Ordinance and the Freeport Zoning Ordinance with the following conditions of approval. 1, this approval incorporates by reference all supporting plans and amend the previously approved plans submitted by the applicant and hers or her representatives at Project Review Board meetings and hearings on the subject application to the extent that they are not in conflict with other stated conditions. 2, prior to the start of any construction, the applicant obtain any applicable permits from the Freeport Code Enforcement Officer. 3, prior to the start of any construction, the applicant obtain a written capacity to serve letter from the Freeport Sewer District with a copy to be submitted to the Freeport Planning Department. 4, the applicant shall obtain final sign off from the Freeport Fire Rescue Chief and Maine Water Company on the relocation of the existing fire hydrant with copies of the sign offs to be submitted to the Freeport Planning Department prior to any site work. And 5, final parking requirement for the new addition will need to be determined at such time as a building permit is issued.
Thank you, Ford. Caroline, you said we needed to strike the utilities.
Yeah, you can strike condition 3 because they
3,
actually
okay.
already submitted that documentation.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Gordy. Okay, roll call vote. Blanchard, yes. Campanelli,
I'll second.
oh, Gordy seconded.
Okay.
Yep. Campanelli,
Yes.
yes. Hamlin,
Yes.
Reiki,
Yes.
Troidel,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Yankee.
Yes.
All right, thank you. It was unanimous.
And on this next item, the Harrisseekit Yacht Club item, I am going to recuse myself as I'm a member of the HOSC.
And thank you, everybody. I'm going to recuse myself too.
Thanks, David. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Caroline, did you want to talk about the Moore Street School application that's
Yeah,
tabled
I
before we
do
move
just
on?
wanna-
Okay.
Yeah, I do want to comment on Moore Street. So Moore Street School, yesterday it was realized that their abutter notification wasn't sent. We typically notify within 200 feet, and although it's not a public hearing, that is our practice. So I reached out to them and told them about the error on our behalf, and unfortunately it did make it so they needed to table tonight. So their items are time sensitive. You guys did look at portables before, but now they're looking at moving them due to changes in the school operations, partially due to COVID, which is why the application is time sensitive. So I did want to ask the board if they would be open to a special meeting to take up this item. It would probably be next week. I feel like is less than ideal since it's right before Thanksgiving. So maybe either December 1st or December 9th. I didn't know if anyone is open to that or if anyone has any conflicts.
Yeah, either of those dates work for me.
Yeah, the 1st is a Tuesday, but that would work. The 2nd is a
Oh.
Wednesday and the 9th. So.
Yeah, it'd be the
Sorry.
2nd or the 9th, I think.
Yeah, 2nd or the 9th.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, me too, I think. Yeah.
Can you, which day of the week is this?
Sorry, I'm looking at this little calendar here. It would be Wednesday. So either the 1st or 2nd Wednesdays. Ford, you have conflict the 2nd Wednesdays, don't you?
No longer.
Okay.
Nope. Good, thank you. What a memory.
So if there's no conflicts, I'll reach out to the applicant and see what would work for them, and that we can get the holiday creates a little bit of a challenge. We have to make sure we can get everything out in time. So let me reach out to them and then I'll reach back out to the board.
Can I ask, were you planning a regular meeting in December as well?
We were planning a regular meeting, which would be on December 16th. I don't know at this point if you're going to have anything come in or not. Submissions are due next Wednesday. At this point, I'm not aware, so I'm not sure if you'll actually have a regular December meeting.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Caroline. So we will now move on to the Harrisburg Yacht Club site plan amendment. And Todd, you had something to say?
Yes, thank you. That was premature. I am going to recuse myself as I'm a member of the HYC.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Caroline, would you like to give us a summary?
Sure. So this is a little bit different than some of the other applications you have seen in recent times. Most of the stuff that the PRB reviews on the water just happens to be in the Island District, which has its own unique process and set of standards. This parcel is not in the Island District. It's actually in the Village 2 zone. It has some resource protection, and obviously it's in the shoreland area. So they have to come to site plan review. So they are coming to you for a site plan review, 602 of the ordinance for a review of this proposal. It includes a hoist and some float expansion. There has been quite a bit of public interest due to the nature of the proposal. They do require review and approvals from outside agencies in addition to review from you guys. So they have to go to the Coastal Waters Commission for a permit. They need to go to Army Corps. They need to go to DEP. They need to go to the Submerged Lands Bureau. So they have quite a few steps involved in this. At this point, the applicant's here tonight just to conceptually show you the proposal, see if you have any questions on it. You did get 2 letters. One of them came in late last night, so you did get it today, but you did get 2 letters. I think that raises some questions regarding the project. But Barney Baker is here representing the applicant, so I will let him go into detail on what's included in the application.
Yes, good evening. My name is Barney Baker, and I know several of the members. And of course, know Todd. The application before you is for the Harrisburg Yacht Club, of which I'm a member. And I've got a short PowerPoint presentation to give you, which I will do if that's okay. I'm going to share my screen and start the presentation. Let's see. I think this should do it. Can you see the screen there?
Yes.
Is that an affirmative? Okay, good. So what are we doing? We're doing a new hoist and float modifications. And as Caroline indicated, we're kind of sliding between Coastal Waters and also the Project Review Board. Coastal Waters primarily for the navigational aspects of the proposed floats and the hoist, and Project Review Board for the hoist itself and the land modifications associated with it. Project location and setting. The yacht club is located prominently in the harbor, underneath the tower next to Brewers Marina. It's quite frankly, the Harrisburg is one of the best harbors in Casco Bay, and the Harrisburg Yacht Club is prominently on the waterfront. Here it is shown. Most people know that it is a federal navigation project. The harbor has been dredged, but not in recent memory. And you can see obviously the deep water and the shallows. So you have Brewers, Strouts, and then the Harrisig Yacht Club next door. Again, a larger site. Again, you focus on the edge. The low water mark is kind of prominently just inside, following my cursor, and then bends around to the edge here. And that's been fairly consistent. So the outer floats for the club are in about 10 feet of water at low tide. And a lot of the members have sailboats, which obviously have, draft requirements. Traditionally, dinghies are kept behind the main floats, and then smaller Boston whaler type vessels are placed inside. And then we have an inflatable dock here. The mission of the club, this is the clubhouse here. This is the property right here. And you can see it juts right out into the river. Beautiful, beautiful spot if you haven't been down there. So a little bit of the history, then a membership mission, talk about the sailing program, and also mention what I call the waterfront community builders. Harrisig Yacht Club was formed in 1947. It was originally started out in the old building that's down at Brewers. In 1955, it moved to its current location. And then in the 1970s, while they were doing the in-town sewer and creating a lot of blasted ledge, some members had the bright idea to get them to take that ledge and use it to fill the groin that you see there on the site. In 1980, the pier was added. So membership is fixed at 250 people. It's been like that ever since I've been a member, over 20 years. Individuals count as one member, family members count as two. And of course, the hallmark of the club is it's all volunteer organization. We don't have any paid staff, and we do all the work ourselves. And the mission, which was kind of the core foundation of the club, the objective of the club shall be to encourage and promote the sport of boating and the science of seamanship and navigation, particularly for instruction to the youth of this area, and to do all things necessary or incidental through volunteerism to accomplish and fulfill said purposes. So kind of a lofty goal, but quite frankly, the club does achieve that. Each summer, this summer being an exception, we teach about 120 kids and adults sailing. We have a fleet of 420s and a fleet of Opties. We have 2 sonars, which are small keel boats, and have a very active club. And then what I call the waterfront community builders, maybe just say one thing about the sailing program. We run scholarships for local kids that are selected by the school to attend the program that maybe couldn't otherwise do it. It's a great way to get kids out on the water and teach them the skills that they need to compete later in life. It's a great life skills building exercise. And kids start as young as 8, and they go right up into teenage years in the sailing program proper. Then we have an adult women's program, and we also have a very active Wednesday night racing fleet that gets out there and competes every Wednesday. The club also provides access to local shell fishermen. They're given an opportunity to use the club access to the beach, and shell fishermen use it. Coastal Waters Commission, it's been a little bit of a problem because most of the members on the Coastal Waters Commission are HYC members. So when, of course, the project comes before them, suddenly there are a lot of vacant seats because they have to recuse themselves. We have lobstermen in our membership. We have folks that are working on aquaculture facilities or have grown up in the club and quite frankly migrated to jobs on the water with aquaculture, marine construction, so what is why are we here tonight? We're calling it the Burwell Hoist. And Jack Burwell was one of the, not a founding member. He was probably very young when the club was founded, but he spent his youth in the yacht club and was a very successful racer, lightning champion, and went on to kind of motivate younger sailors, many of which went on to be J24 champions in Casco Bay and also beyond. And so the club is very proud of their alumni. We put several people in the Olympics in the sailing events, and I've done a lot of offshore races like the Marion Bermuda race. The Harrisika Yacht Club is perhaps renowned in other clubs throughout New England and the Eastern Seaboard as the club that no one can pronounce the name, but they're certainly well known. So this is the club. It's kind of a multi-use facility. You can see that the primarily parking area on this groin that was built in the 70s. And then from that, a pier extends out to deep water, the gangway here, and it feeds these float systems that I described before. We have access to the beach here, but you can see this slide's taken at low water. It's a long way to get to the water on this ramp, and that's actually kind of very muddy, so it's not ideal. And what we'd like to do is put a hoist in right at this location. This location is selected because it's right down the corridor of the parking lot. It doesn't have full tide access, but it'll have access from half tide to half tide, probably, for 10 hours, 10 or 11 hours a day. And you can see the proximity. This is the clubhouse here and our neighbors to this side here, Foster's behind us. So this is what the hoist would look like. This is, up close and personal. It's the hoist that we're proposing would have a 12-foot boom. It'd be approximately 16-foot clear to the boom, and it would have a lifting hoist, much similar to this. And I've got some photo sims. We were kind of found this one, but the hoist is designed to lift about 4,000 pounds. So for translate into the type of boat, a J24 is about 3,000 pounds. I think a sonar is a little less than that. But what we're wanting to do is get a hoist that can support a young adult and older people who think they're young adults racing program. And what would happen is people would keep their boats on trailers, and they would use the hoist to take their boats out and put on the trailer. If they have a mooring in the harbor, they would likely keep it on the mooring for extended periods of time. If they don't have a mooring, they would lift it out of the water and store it on their trailer, take it home, or we'd make arrangements in town for storage. The primary benefit of the hoist, it allows sailors to compete regionally. And if anybody follows the J24 fleet, for example, there's one in Portland and in Casco Bay, and those sailors compete, all over New England. And the way they get to those events is by taking their boat on a trailer. So HYC is looking to invigorate and, quite frankly, capture young adults in an affordable pastime of sailing, small floats. So what is this hoist actually going to look like? I pointed out the house that was directly behind the property. All the houses behind are elevated. So you're kind of looking down into the harbor, as like this picture shows. This is actually from the Foster's porch. And where we're going to put the float, the hoist is right in this location right here. And so if you look at this photo sim, this shows the pier. I've got another drawing which shows how it's constructed, but it's essentially a pile supported dock with a precast concrete surface that you can drive and back a trailer out onto. Then the hoist would sit at the end of it, and it would pivot. So this is the the horizontal or the transverse position. You can imagine it turning towards the viewer, and it would have even less of an impact. And because the houses that look down on it are elevated, the hoist from their view shed is silhouetted by the water behind. So we're proposing to paint that hoist gray to blend in. And this is a view from the water. Here is the Harrisicke Yacht Club flag at half mast for some reason. I'm not sure why. This is the Foster's house. And that's where we were standing when we took this picture. So you can see we're approximately 100 feet offshore from the floats, and we put the hoist in there. This is to scale. The pier would be behind the gangway here, and you can see the it's high tide right now. So anyway, that's what it looks like from that angle. Then here's the parking lot. If you came down into Harrisicke and kind of stood at the back side of the parking lot, the clubhouse would be to your right. Again, the flag, again at half mast. All the cars parked along the sides. So the drill would be to come, we have a turning area next to the boat ramp. You'd come down, you'd turn, and you'd back towards the hoist with your trailer. This is what it would look like in the distance. So that's what you would see from the parking lot. So that is kind of my rolling presentation for that. I do have, if I can figure out how to do this, I think I can. Do have, wanted to show you the drawings and also just give you kind of an overview of the elements of the project. This is the permit set. So this is the existing site plan that we've had that was surveyed several years ago. These property lines are the original property lines. You can see how this wharf was extended out into the water by the filling that occurred, primarily in this area. I believe the clubhouse location is still on land that existed prior to this filling operation. This is the low tide line, approximately, and these are the floats that are deep water. So what we're proposing to do is we're going to add a hoist here, and we're going to add connecting floats to the boat ramp floats that we already have. And then we're also wanting to add floats in this direction here also. And what that does is, quite frankly, this is a very popular harbor. The HYC, when they first started back in the 40s, the harbor was pretty much had commercial fishing boats in it, but not a whole lot else. And now it takes approximately I don't even know what the waiting list is, but probably over 10 years to get a mooring. So HYC is taken a lot of the kind of burden off having to put smaller boats on moorings by creating space for skiffs and whaler type boats. This float here is used for yacht club whalers and inflatable boats. This end is where the 420s are kept. This end, actually, I'm sorry, this end, yeah, this end has 420s and opties. This end has 420s. This is traditionally another float, one that dries out, that is used to store additional boats. At least once during the season, perhaps twice, we support a youth regatta, which brings young sailors from all over Maine to the yacht club, usually for a 2 or 3 day event. And again, all run by volunteers, gets those kids out there. So we're very proud of the club, and I think the community should be very proud of it too. And certainly we support everything that's on the waterfront. So these plans that you've got show the construction of the proposed hoist. Again, precast deck and piles, and pretty straightforward marine construction. And how are we, it's not really relevant to the permission we're getting from you, but this will largely be built with volunteer support. So it's a great asset for the community. It's not really available. People keep saying that brewers or Strouts have a hoist that can do a similar thing. That adds a lot of cost to the individual sailor, and also it is only available when there's room at the hoist facilities, when those hoists are available. I've spoken to John Brewer. He's in support of the project, and is very excited about the prospect of being able to have this facility on the water in the harbor. Just a few housekeeping things. Your application, this is a lot coverage plan that I have submitted. It's not in your packet, but I have submitted it to Caroline. This is the application you have in front of you, and I just wanted to point out one thing here. I'm sure there are a lot of people in the audience that will have questions. What we did was just in terms of how far we are from our neighbors. So I'm showing the distance to the property lines. The hoist is another 250 feet, probably closer to, about 250 feet down here. So to the Fosters, we're 40 feet away from the property line. To McCready, we're 108 feet. To the Izzards off to our left, we're 72 feet. Hardy, our next door neighbor, is only 7 feet away. Thankfully, we get along. And zoning for the facility is obviously where you guys come in, but we are in the shoreland zone. We're also in the resource protection 1 zone. And why are we in resource protection? The code enforcement officer kind of gave his opinion on that, and we're in resource protection because of the proximity to the base flood elevation. The HYC clubhouse is out of the base flood elevation, but this whole property is very close to the base flood elevation. And so obviously any structure that is built in this location where we're proposing the hoist has to be a water dependent structure. We feel the hoist fulfills that criteria. And in terms of zoning, we're in the Village 2 zone. We would be classified as an outdoor recreational school or private assembly. We have, we believe we have the appropriate facilities to construct this hoist, and look forward to any comments that you might have on our application or the presentation. I'll send it back to the board here.
Thank you, Barney. I appreciate that. We're not taking any formal action tonight on this application. This is just conceptual review. So this is a good time for any board members to ask any and all questions you might have or provide any commentary or feedback to the applicant. So I will open it up to the board.
Caroline, you explained why this is before the board, but I'm not entirely clear. Is it because it's in research RP1?
No, it's before you because it's a use permitted in B2, subject to site plan review.
Okay.
So anytime a use is subject to site plan review, they come before you for review of the proposal under section 602 of the zoning ordinance.
I also have a question about this letter we got today at 1 o'clock. It's more a procedural question. I don't know whether you want me to raise this at the end of this substantive discussion or not, Guy.
I mean, I'd say go ahead, raise the question now, and then we'll move on. Yeah. If we had, this is just, fortunately, this is just a concept review. So receiving information at the last minute doesn't stop us in our tracks. But if it were for action, I don't know how we'd be in a jam, because we got a 3 or 4 page letter from an attorney with a lot of material in it 4 hours before the meeting. And it's unfair to the applicant and the public to table while we consider that, but it's also pretty harsh on the people who write those letters to say that we're not going to consider them. But my understanding is that the planning board requires that anything to come before their attention be received the week before the meeting at least. And is that, Caroline, is that applicable to us directly?
So your rules of order for project review say that you'll consider any comments received by Thursday at 4 p.m. Obviously, this came in last night. I was able to get it to you this afternoon. So whether or not you want to take it into consideration. However, like you said, this is a conceptual presentation and it's a chance to ask questions. That applicant also got that letter today. So I do think that if there's some questions there that you feel like you need some clarity on, maybe let the applicant know. I'm sure that they will be providing you some answers in their next submission once they have a chance to go through it as well.
Well, because there are a number of technical questions in there that relate to some technical issues in the ordinance, will we be drawing our attorney, the town attorney, in for that, or do we just, as a matter of course, leave it to the applicant to respond?
So I think, the burden of proof is always on the applicant. So I would hope that they would respond if there were questions raised in their next submission. I think, if the board has their own questions, with some of the issues raised, procedure or some interpretations, oftentimes we could get input from the town attorney or review from the town attorney. And oftentimes when it comes down to a use and whether or not something's permitted, we look to the code officer to give us some guidance.
Thank you. If I wasn't clear, I think that we should obviously let people know, if they're likely to comment, that we have the right to deny consideration of materials received after the Thursday before.
Thank you for it. Anybody else?
Yeah, well, I was concerned about the letter as well, and I don't know if Barney, if you can address any of those discussion points in the letter right now, or wait until you come back. Another question I do have, and I know your parking lot is not really part of any changes, but I do wonder how you will deal with vehicles with trailers on them. How many do you anticipate, and do you have parking for that? Or I know in that area there's a lot of parking issues anyway, but how will you accommodate that?
Well, it's so we have a lot of rules and regulations for the membership, and we'll be developing a policy for the hoist use. Obviously, we have our own internal issues to address, primarily around keeping kids safe and not kind of interfering with the multiple programs that occur down at the club. So we've kind of we have a hoist committee, and we've been talking about these issues, and we're talking about perhaps having a card operation for the hoist. We're certainly going to have a training program for anybody that uses it. It's going to be it's not going to be open for everyone. It's a membership driven facility, and so we're kind of self-policing, and we've got incredible organizational skills. We organize regattas that have I think up to 10 yacht clubs visit the facility, and you can imagine all the congestion that develops, and we deal with that. And the hoist is it's a tidal access, so it's not going to occur 24/7. And I did mention in the application what the frequency or the peak use of the facility would be, and how that would impact the traffic. And I basically said that there would be no appreciable increase in traffic because the hoist would be used during low use periods. I guess the other part of your question, I could go through some of the points that the abutters representative has raised, and I think you can appreciate there's a lot of overlap. We're dealing with these issues, a lot of the same issues with our coastal waters application, our DEP application, and our Army Corps application. So we certainly will, as an applicant, address their concerns. So I guess primary one is they're suggesting we don't have the right title and interest to do what we're doing. And clearly, from our perspective, based on our longevity at this site and our stewardship of the site, that we have, exercised the right title and interest. I've given you the deeds that are in the town records for this property, and the yacht club pays taxes every year, so we're not too concerned. We definitely know we have right title and interest for it. We also have a submerged lands lease for the area that we use seaward of the property. That's where the state of Maine, gives permission for using public lands which extend beyond the low water mark. I guess getting back to trailers, we won't have any trailers stored on site. They will have to go off site. So the drill will be to put the boat in the water and then take the trailer off site. And let's see, the other concerns raised in the letter was regard to lot coverage. Clearly, our club was first at this site in 1955, so lot coverage, we're never going to meet the 20% requirement for a shoreland zone, but I've spoken with Nick Adams. We don't have to. What we do have to do is create additional green space for the green space that's lost, and that's what we've done in the plan that I provided to Caroline. You don't have it before you, but we have addressed lot coverage. Let's see what else. They've indicated that I think there's a lot of concern with the visual impact of the hoist, and I've provided the photo sims to show that we feel that it's not going to be a major impact. And I think you've got to take it all into perspective. The waterfront HYC is in a different zone, but it's very close to the marinas. The Harrisseekit is a very protected harbor. I think historically used to be used to build more ships than Bath Iron Works, or was larger than Bath Iron Works at one point. But there's a lot of stuff that's happening on the water in the Harrisseekit. It's the kind of the lifeblood of the town and or the town waterfront, and I think we use that space very, very efficiently and provide a lot of waterfront access for people who would not otherwise be able to afford it.
Okay, thank you, Barney.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions? Barney, could you talk about the Army Corps process? Is there, I guess I'm wondering, because it is a federal agency, like if there's any additional public involvement process that goes with any approval or permit they have to provide?
So people are certainly, all the budding property owners are notified, and we're required to, talk to the tribal nations, the Maine Historic Preservation. The public process is really driven by the town and also the submerged lands. Submerged lands notifies everybody, I think, within 250 feet of the project. So that's pretty much there's no formal public involvement with the Army Corps in terms of a meeting or a presentation.
Okay, thanks. I mean, there's an additional letter from an abutter that we received. So I was just curious what other potential avenues for, public feedback and comment are available to them in addition to this board. And I suppose the Coastal Waters Commission
Yeah.
might have to solicit public input as well.
Coastal Waters there's a notification process with Coastal Waters. We started that process in July. We've had meetings canceled, delayed, pushed back, but we are almost through that process. But that is one area where they could contribute. In fact, they can do that at 7:30, and that meeting's going to start then. But the other place they can contribute is they can go to the town office. The town office has a copy of the application that went to the Army Corps and the DEP. They can also contact my firm or the Yacht Club to get more information. And so really the cycle that we're on right now is we're not going to get our DEP approval until the middle of January if all goes well. So there's time for people to submit their letters of support or concern with respect to the project.
Okay, thanks, Barney. Any other comments or questions from the board?
Well, I mean, we got a lot of input today, which whether we have to take it or not, I mean, it's only conceptual, so we can assume that input will come back. But I mean, looking at it from our board's perspective, it's just a matter of zoning. So assuming that we're, the outdoor recreation school is what we're classifying it as, then it is allowed to be in the zone that it's in. And I guess sort of the order of operations, more Coastal Waters or the Army Corps will decide if this can go in the water or not, to sort of put it that way. I guess when I look at it, it's really, the more concerns I would have would be the vehicular access, parking, circulation, and emergency access, all kind of having to do with moving vehicles, and then now introducing, a fair amount of trailers, depending on the day, I guess, to the site. And it is a little concerning when we say that the boat's going to go in the water and then the trailer is going to go away. I don't know where away is, and that may be, a little bit of an issue depending on where that is. Like Geraldine said, that area already is, there's traffic there and the streets are tight and that kind of thing. So, maybe just talk, obviously the same person that's going to go park this trailer, I assume, is going to want to get back and get in their boat.
Right. Usually it's a two-person job. That's what crew members are for. The captain pretty much delegates all the activity.
And is there a thought where the trailers would go and park or be left, and how many, kind of the volume of trailers there might be for either for an event or just on a regular kind of day-to-day basis?
So if there were an invitational, that's when you would have trailers that would need a place to go, because otherwise the trailers would be belong to members, and they would be taken home or taken to a friend's house or crew member's house in the neighborhood. But we have looked at that. We've thought of putting it. We could put trailers up at Rings. Thornton's also a member of the club. We also park sometimes at the Seoul School when we have overflow. We haven't talked to them about trailers. I don't want to suggest that we have, but we would make accommodations for trailers. Find those. Yeah.
Caroline?
Yeah, I just want to let you know, I know this is just conceptual, but you do have 17 people or listeners in the audience. Were you guys going to take public comment tonight?
How does the board feel about that? It's conceptual. I'm open to it. Yeah. We don't, yeah, okay.
Caroline, do we have to be off this call at 7:30 for the coastal?
No, this is your regularly scheduled meeting. Coastal Waters has a meeting starting at 7:30. My understanding is that they are using a separate Zoom account. Obviously, the applicant, and I'm sure some of the other interested parties do want to participate in that Coastal Waters meeting. But I mean, if you wanted to give the public a chance to comment one thing, because you have so many people, and if you do want to be considerate of upcoming meetings, you know, you do have the option to ask that they limit it to a few minutes. You've done that in the past.
Okay, why don't we take public comment and try to keep it as direct and brief as possible to the particular application.
Sure. So if any members of the public want to comment, you can raise your hand and then we will invite you to come over and we will turn on your mic. You'll just need to unmute yourself. So if you want to comment, you can raise your hand. We do have Joe wishing to comment. Can I allow him to come over?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Joe, you can unmute.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I heard my letter being discussed, so I just wanted to, I'll keep it very brief. The reason why, and I apologize to be submitting it so late, but I did notice, so first of all, I'm representing the Parkers, who are abutters to the yacht club, and they have a variety of concerns with the proposal and you know, are involved in the Coastal Waters Commission hearing as well. And I'm not here to talk about that. What I'm here to talk about, and first of all, the Parkers got the notice that this was going to be on the agenda on November 7th. It didn't leave us a lot of time to put together a response, and it did say in the meeting agenda that comments could be submitted until 24 hours before the meeting. So that was the reason for the late submittal, and I would have liked to get it to the board sooner, but so be it. My concerns are specifically with respect to what the project review board is going to be evaluating this project for. So first of all, there's a right title and interest issue that the applicant has admitted that it has no, the deed, the legal description in the deed submitted with the application, you know, is marked on the plan, and it's only the upland. They got a permit from the Army Corps to fill in the gravel parking lot, but they have no property right in the gravel parking lot or the intertidal zone that off of the edge of the parking lot, and they're proposing improvements in the intertidal zone, you know, that they have no interest, right title or interest in, or at least they have not submitted sufficient evidence of it with the application. They have a submerged lands lease, which would apply to anything seaward of the low water mark, but what's missing in the RTI component of the application is proof that they own the intertidal zone where the majority of the improvements are being located. So that's the RTI issue. And the other issue that I'd raised before the board is, you know, I understand that this is, you know, a property that's in the Village 2 district. It's in the resource protection shoreland zone. They're proposing a 720 square foot concrete platform in a zone marked as designated resource protection. It's a you know, I admit it's a water dependent use, so like the normal setbacks would not apply, but they already have a water dependent use on the property. It's the float system that they have in place already. So they're proposing a separate water dependent use, and the parcel is too small. It does not have the adequate frontage to accommodate a separate water dependent use. It's a 200 foot frontage requirement per use, and I think they only have about 200 feet of frontage total. That's measured you know, in a linear fashion from the side lot lines. So I hope the board would consider my comments. I know I submitted them just 24 hours ago, but I don't think the board would be entitled to not consider them. The board's going to have to take this up again when it decides yea or nay on the project. So there will be another meeting regarding this, the same application. So you already have my comments on file. So if you don't want to consider them tonight, then I would encourage you to consider them at the next meeting. So I'll close with that, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Does
Caroline?
anyone else from the public wish to comment? If so, you can use the raise hand feature. Not yet, but we'll give them a minute in case they're shy. I don't see any other hands raised from the 16 people that are still joining in your call.
Caroline, is it appropriate to request the town attorney to respond to the letter for us?
To the whole thing or certain parts of it? Or, I mean, definitely we've had the town attorney weigh in on the issue of right, title, and interest in the past.
Right, I remember that on that, the vet office, right?
Yeah, so in the past, our previous town attorney had said that the applicant needs to show that they have reasonable right, title, interest. In this case, that would be the applicant getting into the deed. It's not necessarily the role of the board to get into determining all the fine details of that deed. However, there's steps we have taken in the past when these issues have been raised. We've added a condition on there. Given the fact that we have a new town attorney, I don't think it can hurt if the board would be more comfortable. I'd be happy to reach out to her and have her at least comment on that. I could reach out on the use aspect. I think she probably wouldn't comment on that. Should probably refer us to the code officer because he's the enforcer and interpreter of the zoning ordinance. But if the board would like me to get some clarification, I can. I think if you have some questions raised, I think the applicant's hearing you tonight, and I would suspect that they will hopefully address some of those in their submission because it sounds like the abutters attorney will raise those at future meetings should you take public comment.
Right. Any other questions, thoughts?
Well, I guess that package also included the letter, I believe, to the Coastal Waters Commission, and I realize that meeting's upcoming, so maybe there will be results, but I don't know their process or what, if they're voting on anything tonight or just, considering things. So, that letter raised issues as well, which maybe we'll have a decision from Coastal Waters before then, I'm not sure. But like you said, Caroline, both from the code officer and the town attorney, just to get their interpretations of the items in our letter, and then if we need anything from that other letter. I looked through it all, but I didn't absorb everything in there because there was a lot that obviously just came in later. So.
Sorry, and I just want to make one quick note for the record. Todd Yankee did have to leave the meeting as he is a member of Coastal Waters. So just for the record, Todd Yankee, who was recused, did leave the meeting. Sorry about that. Okay, so I can work with the town attorney to get you some guidance in response to that letter in regards to procedure and what you guys can and can't consider. If we need further clarification on the use or some of the other points raised, I will work with the town attorney and the code officer to hopefully get you the answers that you feel you need to get addressed in regards to that letter.
Thank you. Should we also make a motion tonight to table this until Coastal Waters has an opportunity to weigh in?
Yeah, the applicant's been before Coastal Waters a few times now. Again, their review is going to be limited to The objects in the water, so there's a little bit of overlap because part of the application before you is the hoist and the floats. I think, Barney, was the intent of the applicant to wait until they got through coastal waters and DEP before returning to PRB?
So given the sensitivity, the issues raised by the neighboring property owner, I think I can speak for the HYC in that we would like to pursue approvals as soon as possible. And if they're contingent on, and I'm sure they will be, getting the full list of permits from all the groups, and that would be Submerged Lands, Coastal Waters, Project Review Board, DEP, and Army Corps. So there's a lot of paper involved here. So we'd like to get approval as soon as we can with each of the entities, if that were appropriate.
Yeah, I think you could, I mean, your other option, Guy, would be you guys could table it to a future meeting if you feel that you're going to need some of those approvals in place to make findings on certain things like the environmental consideration or land preservation of landscape. Then I think it would be good to give the applicant some guidance on that. And then I also want to note you do have another member of the public that has since raised their hand wishing to comment.
Okay. Why don't we take that comment?
Oh, you have two.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not sure who this is, if they can identify themselves, but SKS will move you over to comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
No, we can only hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. My name's Steve Smith. I live right above the Foster's property. So I'm right above the Foster's on Dixon Road going down to the yacht club. So I'm not in a butter, but I'm very, very close. And first of all, I guess I have a question, and that is, or a comment rather, and that is the photographs that were shown were taken with a wide angle lens, and really I don't think portray the visual impact of this hoist. Having said that, that's a secondary matter, but I think that you are being shown something that is not realistic, okay? Just so you know, and people, when they actually see this thing, are gonna have a different reaction. That's not my question. My question is about parking and how this thing is gonna possibly work. I don't know if any of you are familiar with a J-boat, a J24 or something like that, but that parking lot is full almost the whole summer. I live right above it. The street going down to Dixon Wharf is, down Dixon Road is full the whole time. So I have no idea how this whole thing is going to work and how they're going to be backing up trailers and putting boats in, and whose decision and whose authority would judge that, because to me, it's going to be a mess. And I'm concerned, and I don't know if that's your responsibility, but it seems to me like no one is taking a serious look at what the real implications of this are for the community. And when we have these regattas, we have a serious, serious congestion problem and a safety problem with kids running around. And now they're going to be having boats coming down with trailers to put in the hoist. I'm very, very concerned as a neighbor, a butter, not in a butter, almost a butter. And I want someone to take responsibility for looking at this seriously. And I don't think it's being taken seriously. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Caroline, anybody else?
So maybe I could just, am I allowed to talk or? Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you want to hear from John Grillo, the next member?
Sure, let's let the public continue.
Oh, John just put his hand down. John, if you do want to comment, if you re-raise your hand, we'll move you over to comment. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, his hand keeps going up and down. John, I just moved you over, so if you wish to talk, you can unmute.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. My name is John Grillo. I've been on the board for about 10 or 11 years now. I've served in the capacity of Commodore. I've also run the sailing program with my wife and with other people on our committee for a number of years. And I must tell you, and I'm also on the hoist committee, and I must tell you that we've thought about these things that Steve Smith has presented, and we have made it very clear that there are no trailers to be left in the parking lot. I can't tell you that every issue has been thought out, but I must say we've thought about every issue, and we have still to come up with logistical issues to deal with. But all of this thrust that we are involved in has to do with the mission of our club. It has to do with providing a venue for the young sailors that move out of our sailing program and want to continue to be competitive. And we wish to provide them that opportunity. That's what this is all about. This is also a useful tool for our members to be able to launch their boats, to be able to step their masts, to take their masts out, to take their boats out, etc. It is a useful tool to a yacht club, and it is very common throughout the East Coast to have a tool such as this at a yacht club as ours. We have a group of people who are very intent on solving the logistical issues that have been brought up. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Thanks, John. Barney, did you want to respond?
Yes, just very quickly, I know Steve, I didn't realize he had concerns with the photo sims. The way we made those photo sims is we actually went down to the location of the hoist on the pier just opposite it, and put a rod up that was the appropriate height, with a red flag on it, and then took our pictures so that we were able to photo simulate the hoist into the pictures. So I don't know what else to tell you, but the fact that we did make those photo sims to try to make them as realistic as we could, and I hope the board appreciates that.
Thank you, Barney. Any other comments, questions from the board? Any other members of the public that would like to speak?
Yeah, so Mr. Smith, your hand is still up. I don't know if you were still looking to speak. And then I just had another hand.
No, am I
Okay.
still on? Am I still on?
Yeah, you are on. That's okay. I just wanted to make sure. I couldn't tell if your hand was raised.
I forgot to mention that I am a member of the yacht club, which is important. And also I've served on the board of the yacht club. And so these concerns are not from some outsider. These are from somebody who's very involved in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, does anyone else from the public wish to comment? Okay, it looks like that hand is down. That was up previously, so I don't see any other hands raised for public comment.
So I've got two more questions. One, first would be, how, what is the frequency of, I guess, trailered boats that access the facility today? Does that exist? Is there a volume of traffic of that? And two, just looking through the packet, I know we have a couple letters of support, but I don't know how your organization works exactly. So we have a letter from essentially, it looks like from the hoist committee, which is a dozen or so people, to the membership, which I think you said was 250. Is there a voting process? And, the concerns of traffic in the neighborhood, I don't think are included in that, but sort of safety of circulation of vehicles on site may have some impact if the entire membership, has voted for this and they all want it. Because obviously when you have as much parking as there is and you have trailered boats maneuvering around, then trying to get emergency vehicle access and that kind of thing might be challenging with, such a volume of vehicles on site.
So the answer to your question, there will be a vote. The membership will be allowed to vote on this. We have held off the vote until after we get all the approvals. We thought that was important. But I can tell you that we've started fundraising for the project, and we're well on the road towards paying for that. But there will be a vote. And the other issue was, how many trailers do we have on site now? I think Steve mentioned that it's, total bedlam down there during one of these youth regattas. And, he's right. It takes a small army of volunteer members to control it. But we have, trailer boats that use the ramp on the beach, and they can be significant. People will arrive on site with stacked 420s on a trailer, or 6 420s maybe if they're really intrepid, and then Optis. I mean, there's a lot of boats and a lot of trailers. So on those particular days, the membership isn't even allowed to park down there. That gives you an idea of what draconian measures we take to control and keep the place safe. The hoist committee feels that we can handle the traffic, and yes, we do need to put some controls on it, and we're certainly going to do that.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yes, I have a question, and that relates to the actual operation of the hoist.
Yeah.
How will that be administered, and is there any risk associated with using the hoist?
So, like any organization, we have an insurance carrier. So we have been working with them to measure that risk. I mentioned before, we're going to control who uses the hoist. We're going to control when it can be used. We're going to control how it can be used, and we're going to provide training also. It's only going to be able to be used for boats that are set up for a hoist. So this is a common feature at other clubs, particularly further south, and our membership has racers that use those hoists, and so we are taking advice from their playbooks, and we've reached out to other yacht clubs. So believe me, we're focused on safety and organization. So we're very passionate about sailing, but we insist on doing it safely.
Thank you.
Caroline, is this something where a site visit might be warranted? Because there are some questions about movements down there and the tight turnaround in the existing parking lot.
Yeah, you guys always have the ability to set a site walk. They are, although we don't have the board deliberate, we just, go to the site, pretty much look around at certain things. We save the deliberation for the boardroom. The public would be invited to attend and it would be public noticed. I do think you have the ability to the site walk. I'll be honest, the only little thing that's jumping out at me is the COVID numbers going up on the news. So that might be something that we just, ordinarily we love to set those at the meeting. We might want to just kind of wait and see how the next few days evolve with the numbers. We have been doing site walks. We've been required masks. We have social distance. So we have done them, but not for a while. So I think if you want to set a site walk, you guys could set that. We could look at some possible dates, but we're really going to need to kind of wait and see a little bit too, to make sure that we can do it safely and accommodate all the board, the applicant, and whatever members of the public that want to attend. But yeah, definitely an option.
Okay. Any other thoughts from the board?
Guy, I think a site walk is in order.
Okay.
Certainly appreciate Caroline's comments. We'll have to work around that, but it would benefit us to see that site.
Yeah, in general, I agree. I mean, I'm struggling on how to evaluate the traffic impacts when this place has been there for 70 years or whatever it is, and there's been how this is going to impact the neighborhood and certainly the site itself.
Okay.
Barney, there's no issues with if the board wanted to do a site walk, getting in there and parking on site and looking at these features, is there?
Well, just be advised that all those floats that you see in the water, those are not in the water right now. Those are in the parking lot. So, but the boat ramp is still accessible and you can walk around the floats. There is certainly enough parking for the planning board members. Yeah, we'd welcome you to come down. We're very proud of the club. We could meet in the clubhouse. There's no heat, but we're socially distanced outside. So would welcome that opportunity.
So I am hearing that it sounds like the majority of the board would prefer to schedule a site walk.
I think so. Yeah, Geraldine says thumbs up.
So are you,
and Gordy
obviously
too.
it's getting dark earlier and earlier. Yeah. Are you guys feeling like Saturday morning is what you'd like to do?
Yeah, I'm fine with a weekend day.
Yeah, I can do that.
I could do that.
We could do it during the week, but would have to do it pretty early at this point.
I'd have to do it during the week, or I could go separately.
Yeah, we would have to do it all together. Could anyone else do it?
Yeah, I mean, it would just be schedule coordination. I'm mostly working from home, so I'm close by, but.
Yeah, same. I would just have to schedule it ahead of time. It's fine.
Yeah, the week's fine.
Okay, so let me get some days that would work with public notification. Town hall is currently closed right now due to a potential COVID exposure. So I won't be going on a site walk at this moment in time. So let's maybe the early next week, I'll reach out to the board with some dates when we know a little more information as to what's going on here and some dates and times that might work for you. If we do it during the week, would you prefer like a 3:30 type thing, or could probably get it in at 4?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, 4 is pretty dark.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think 3 would probably be the.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so too.
So let me look at some options and see what we can coordinate for If we do Saturday morning, is 9 too early?
No.
No? Okay. So I'll look at some dates and find out what the board can do. Obviously, I would say it would not be next weekend. I don't think it's good practice to do it over the Thanksgiving holiday, even though most people will be celebrating in a non-traditional way. And again, that would be publicly noticed, so we'd have to schedule that at least a week in advance.
Okay.
Yeah, sunset is at 4:12 tomorrow.
That would be a pretty short site walk then, I guess.
Okay, any other comments, questions from the board regarding this application at this time?
No.
Caroline, did you want us to make a motion to table the application?
Yeah, I think if you wanted to make a motion to table it for the time being, you can make a motion to table it until after the site walk. It sounds like the board wants to get down there and look at the site before they make any more deliberation.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to table this application until such time as the board can go on a site walk.
Second.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Ford. All right, roll call. Blanchard, yes. Campanelli,
Yes.
Hamlin,
Yes,
Reiki,
Yes.
Troidel,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes. Yes.
and Yankee is recused. Okay, thank you, Barney.
Thank you very much. I'll run to my next meeting here.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is for people wishing to address the board on non-agenda items. Caroline, is there anybody else out there?
Well, you actually still have a few people, so anyone wishing to comment on non-agenda items, please raise your hand. Nobody.
I have a question. Should we keep our material for the Moore Street? That will be before us again? Oh, yeah, you're going to set up another time, right?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, thank you. I meant to mention that. Please keep your materials from Moore Street. It would be identical to what you have. Obviously, you'd get a new staff report with a new date. If there were any changes, they'd be incorporated, but I don't anticipate that. But yeah, please save your materials.
Okay, anything else from the board? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Blanchard, yes. This is so awkward to start with myself. I just have to say that.
In reverse alphabetical order.
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know. I just thought it'd be easier for Sharon. I'm trying to be considerate here. Campanelli,
Yes.
Hamlin,
yes.
Reiki,
Yes.
Troidel,
Yes.
Watson,
Yeah. Yes.
and Yankee, who is off. Okay.
All right, thank
Meeting
you.
adjourned.
Everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Caroline.
Safe.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, guys. You too. Good job, Guy.